No, they're going to get us in trouble. I said, give me a ration. I promised them. Well, they're good guys. They gave me the ration. Had a big double handful of chocolate bars and gum. Man, we weren't going to tell anybody. And put that, smelled it, couldn't wait to get back. But then I thought, wow, that's pretty heavy. Hit him in the head with that going 110 miles to make the wrong impression. So I took handkerchief parachutes. And I had a lot of handkerchiefs had a cold when I went to the Airlift. And so we took a bunch of 3 handkerchiefs. And now you school kids wake up so you get the aerodynamics of this thing. This is an actual handkerchief I dropped. And this is the way it works if I don't get it on the propellers. See? I thought that'd slow it down and they could see it. 3 handkerchief parachutes. Back to Berlin that night. Slept a little bit with the autopilot on. And old Pickering was a good co-pilot. Came back the next day just before noon clear. Looked down there, and there was those 30 kids right in the middle of that open place. They hadn't told another soul. Wiggled the wings of the airplane. They just went crazy. So I thought, boy. In fact, this June I came over that same spot in the C-47. The airfield's closed, but they let us do it. I dropped 1,000 parachutes this June over the same spot. I dropped those first 3 parachutes. Came over their head, see their hands wave in the air, pushed it out the flare chute. Right behind the pilot seat in the 54 was a flare chute. Dropped emergency flares. And that was good. The engineer stood right between the pilots. That runway was too short. Hitler was very inconsiderate. He made that runway too short for us. And we had to get right on the ground, right quick. Later on, they put us between the buildings, which is a lot better. Well, anyway, he told Elkins, when I give you, push it out. We came over, they had pushed it out, couldn't see what happened. 30 minutes later, 20,000 pounds was unloaded of flour, taxied out, take off, through the bars waving, 3 parachutes. Their miles going up and down like you heard in the movie. Well, we thought that's all there is. Every day we come back, kids be waving. Other pilots say, what are they waving for? Of course, we didn't tell them. And the new week come, and we looked at each other, hey, more kids, do it again. 3 weeks did it. And then it had to go in base operations. You couldn't even go in base operations those days because we had to stay right by the airplane. And so halfway unloaded, the weather was terrible in West Germany, weathermen hadn't come by, ran into base operations to find out where we could land in West Germany. We ended up in Oberhoffenpfaffen that night, by the way. And there was a huge stack of mail on the dining table. And I said, boy, my girlfriend hadn't written me for 2 weeks, and there was a stack of mail going to waste. Didn't expect any mail in Berlin, but still it was a waste of something. I went up and looked at it. It says, to Uncle Wiggly Wings, Tempelhof, base operations. The Schokoladenflieger, Tempelhof, base. I said, holy cow, we're in trouble. Forgot about the weather. Went back out and said, we got to quit. Got a post office full of mail in there for us. We quit. For 2 weeks we quit. And then crowd even getting bigger and waving, and said, once more and that's all. Now you students, raise your hand. Students, raise your hand. Come on, up hands. Hi, come on. Now I want you to remember this. If you ever say once more and that's all, you're in trouble now. You turn around and go the other way. There's a big thunderstorm right up ahead that's got hailstones in it. You're going to have trouble. So if you ever say once more and that's all, please remember that. Well, we quit, and it was too late. Next day, came back from Berlin to Rhine-Main. Officer came steaming on the airplane. Who's flying this airplane, he said. My buddy's pointing to me. And he said, Colonel Hahn wants to see you right now. I said, what for? He said, he'll tell you. Went in to see Colonel Hahn. Halvorsen, what have you been doing? Flying like mad, sir. I'm not stupid, he said. What else have you been doing? And then I knew I was in trouble. For 15 minutes, I thought I was going to be court-martialed. And then he pulled out a newspaper, threw it on the counter. There's my airplane, tail number, parachutes. The language is German. I sure understood the picture. I said, General Tenor called. He says, Hahn, what have you been doing dropping parachutes over Berlin? General, we're not dropping parachutes over Berlin. Colonel, you'd better find out what's happening in your outfit. Clunk! So young people, when you go out and get a job, don't try and impress your boss's boss. You get in trouble. I've been through the Pentagon route on that, and I know. And I wasn't doing it. My buddy got fired for doing it. So impress your boss. I didn't want to impress anybody. I didn't want anybody to know. So he said, that General Tunner says it's a good idea. And General Tunner was a genius. He really made the airport. He really saved our lives with procedures. Don't take time for the procedure. He changed a lot of procedures, and he just saved our life. A genius. President Truman and Attlee and Bevan and the French together drew a line in the sand, just like Colonel Travis did out here at the Alamo, and said, those of you who are with me, step across this line. He drew that line to Stalin, put B-29 runway, bombers on the runway in England, and said, buddy, if you shoot at those transports, you're going to have a fire in your backyard in Moscow. Drew that line. Same one at the Alamo. It's such a comfort us. They buzzed it. I got only buzzed about 4 times. Head on with the Act 3 fighters. Didn't shoot because of Truman. So there were great people. General Clay and all those involved at this time. This could have been World War III. Well, we went to Berlin, got mail bags, picked up all the letters. Just a couple of letters right quick. A little boy named Peter Zimmerman. He said, I'm 9 years old and I'm not getting this stuff. I can't run very fast. And some of the guys are outrunning me. Almost got one today and a bigger kid beat me to it. Not very considered. But he saw the parachute, and he made me a parachute, strings right length. Like Germans do, they make good maps. And he said, when you take off out of Temple, come down the Spray, second bridge, turn right 1 block, and live in the bottom of the house in the corner. I'll be in the backyard every day at 2 o'clock, drop it there. Well, all the mail, we couldn't read the mail, but had 2 German secretaries answer the mail, gave us these special letters. And then we make special deliveries. Good weather, the tower let me buzz the city, and boy, pilots love. We don't buzz much, do we? Yeah, much, if we get a chance. Okay, so it was great. I couldn't hit Peter really well. Pretty soon he said, look, I'm going to build a fire, watch the smoke, drop it upwind. Aerodynamics 101. So I saw some smoke and dropped it. And then come another letter. Look, he said, I gave you a map. You're a pilot? He said, how'd you guys win the war anyway? Well, I gave up on Peter. I took a big patch of gum and candy and mailed it to him in the Berlin mail. Couldn't mail it to Berlin, but you got to Berlin, you could mail it to Berlin mail. We got to be good friends. He needed shoes. He made an outline on his foot. We got him shoes. He wanted to be an American. His dad and mom were killed during the war. He lived with a bombed-out house with his uncle, and he was adopted. Put letters, State Department pouch we had, and he got adopted by a family in Palm, Pennsylvania. A little girl wrote, name is Mercedes. Hey, well, you're causing us a terrible problem, she said. You know, this blockade, we got some chickens, and they're not laying eggs good anymore. You're coming right over the top of the apartment house, every one of you, right after the other. And those chickens are running the coop and losing their feathers. Besides that, they're quitting laying eggs. But the last paragraph was the payoff. She said, when you see the white chickens, drop it there. I don't care if it scares them. Well, I didn't do too good. I couldn't find the white chickens either. So people were so grateful, that gratitude I talked to you about. Very, very briefly, another indication of gratitude. They'd open up the air base. I mean, to bring in people, parents that were left, children, to thank the pilots, and to give them handmade gifts. They didn't have anything else. A mother and her daughter came up to me. She didn't know I was the candy bomber. She came up to me, and the mother and daughter, and the daughter had a little teddy bear clutched to her, holding it tight. She came up to me and tried to give me her teddy bear, and I said, I can't take your teddy bear. And her English wasn't too good. Her mother spoke pretty good English, and then she explained to me, she said, during the bombing of Berlin, sometimes we couldn't get to the air raid shelter, but just go to the basement. And this teddy bear is a talisman, it's a good luck symbol in Germany, I'm sure, and she thinks it saved our lives. It saved our lives, and she wants to do something to save the lives of the people feeding this city. She wants to do her part.